This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1086 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by Cavallo Hoof Boots. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Kim Baker Show on Horses in the Morning. Kim and Glenn talk about how horses are a metaphor for life. And we'll get right to our tip after this message from Cavallo Hoof Boots.
Cavallo hoof boots are easy to get on and stay on in all types of terrain and activities. Unique drainage slots allows water to drain out quickly, and they are super easy to take off too. With Cavallos, you spend your time on the trail with your best friend, not wasting time putting on complicated hoof boots. Cavallo hoof boots come in 3 durable upper options and 2 sole widths. You get confidence and security with their best boot ironclad warranty. Cavallo hoof boots take you where you want to go.
You are going to talk about how horsemanship is a metaphor for life, and I was anxious to hear what you had to say about that.
Yeah, so in all the work, that I've done in starting horses and training horses and teaching riding lessons, I really have come to realize how your interaction with the horse really does apply to everything in your life, because it's about communication. It's about relationship, right? Or at least I hope it is. With your horse, it's about relationship. And, of course, leadership comes in sorry, my cat just bit me, comes into play as well. And so I'd be having these conversations with my clients as we're doing lessons, and I find that they would start to notice that how they would interact with the horse, they would see parallels with how they were interacting with certain people at work. So if they were having an issue with one of their coworkers, let's say, boundaries. Boundaries are a good one. So there'll be a coworker that, doesn't respect your personal boundaries. It's like really rude to you. And it could be physical boundaries. It could be, how they talk to you. Maybe they're really demanding, or they just don't have a lot of respect for you, talk over you in meetings. It could be anything along those lines. And so I'd start to see that come into play with the lessons in how, if the horse decided the horse wanted to do something, how the rider would respond. So are they going to just accept that and go and do what the horse wants? Or are they going to try to clarify and say, no, I really would prefer that you do this or do that? And so I'd see this over and over again, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And one particular client of mine, she would start to see this awareness and would correlate it, like I said, to, relationships at work. And then she would actually work through it on the horse and how she would adjust her communication to be more clear and to set her boundaries a little bit more firmly. And then, the next week she would come and she'd say, oh, you know what, I actually applied this at work. And it worked in establishing stronger boundaries with her coworkers. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, right? So how can we, extract what we're doing with the horses and apply that to our spouses, to our friends, to our significant others, to our coworkers, to our bosses? And I think the biggest piece comes down to, the communication. So we talk a lot, or I talk a lot when I'm teaching, the clearer that you can be with horses. It's like yes or no, black or white. If you do a maybe or a gray area with a horse, they just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to them. So in all of our communication systems, right, the clearer that we are, sorry, my cat's clawing me, and it hurts. So I had to get really clear and set a boundary.
You need to communicate with that cat.
Right? Okay, boundary. You just like on my
exactly.
leg.
I have a direct line with mine. Off.
Because before I was just kind of, I wasn't being very clear with him. I was in the middle. I was being muffled about what I wanted him to do. So when he called me, boom, I got real clear. Stop that, go away. So there's a perfect example. I'm sure you guys have all seen that, right? You're kind of soft with whatever you're saying, and then you get to the point, okay, nope, this is what I mean. Very, very clear. But through all the years of doing this work, that's where I've really seen that horsemanship is a metaphor for life, and I'll see how people interact with the horse tells me a lot about them. And then their stories come out, in our work. They'll start telling me about something that's going on with work or something that's going on with one of their children or whatever the case might be. And then I can see the parallel with the horse. So then I can help them become better in their communication with the horse. And with my one client, we talk about it a lot, so it's fine. It's just that door is open. With my other clients, I just hope that they start to see that correlation and can apply those skills in other areas of their life.
And it's interesting because I was just going to say before you go on, it's interesting because some people, when they're having a bad day and they're agitated and everything's going wrong, they go out to their horses for comfort. I can't. That's not a time I go out and see my pony because I don't want to project that on him. So right. I don't do it at that point. Then I just need some chill time, So right. So it's completely the opposite. It's completely the opposite for me. Is that weird? Because I know a lot of people use horses as therapy, but when I'm agitated or having a bad Lyme day or something like that, I just can't do that. And is that weird? Am I the only one?
No, I don't think so, Glenn. I think I would say I agree with you. I would say the majority of us do go to our horses to seek because they're just so loving and so forgiving, and we really can, whether we talk it out or we just kind of open our hearts and just energetically express what's going on, we feel acceptance from them and the love, and that's why we all do it. I certainly do it as well. But I hear you in what you're saying about not wanting to project that onto them. And there's that's a whole other conversation that we could talk for quite at length about, as far as, always projecting your stuff onto the horses. For the most part, they're willing to accept it and roll with it, but sometimes it can be a little too much. And it actually happens with people, too. We've all had those people, right, that they just have a lot going on in their life, and it's kind of almost like they're constantly spewing, and they don't even know that they're doing it, but they're like spewing their stuff all over you, and sometimes you get residue, on your energetic field from them. And it's rather tiresome after a while, and sometimes you don't want to be around them. So
residue.
So I can see that's a greater level of awareness, I think, Glenn, that you have.
I didn't think I'd hear those two words together this morning. I have to tell you.
We are just full of everything today.
Yes. It is someday. All right, let's do this. And, I do want to have that conversation with you at some point in the future, because I think it is interesting how people deal, and everybody deals a little differently when they're having a bad day. And I think it depends what the bad day is, too, don't you? I mean, there are different kinds of bad days. So I think it depends what that is. Absolutely. And by the way, those people that are spewing all the time, we all try and avoid, don't we? I mean, they're the ones who
exactly. Go, So what I would recommend is, sometimes you can't let go in other spaces, but you can let go near your horse. And so one way that you can feel comfortable doing that without feeling like you're spewing it all over your horse is, these are great visuals this morning, by the way.
Yes. I apologize to anybody who has a cold. Is just imagine, instead of like it just, instead of a projectile, sorry, this is visuals getting worse.
just try to send it back down to the earth. So like, exactly, instead of a 360 projectile, just let it come out, let it go, but visualize it going down to the earth. Because actually, if you want to get really spiritual and goofy, Mother Earth really loves recycling that type of stuff. So that's what she's here for. There's a lot of native teachings along those lines where she will take those emotions and things and just do what she does with them. So if you can just visualize it going back down to the earth instead of outwards, then that'll help protect you and your horse and anybody else that's in the vicinity.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guests as well as more tips on topics ranging from barn care to websites for horse people at horsetipdaily.com. And don't forget, you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go by downloading the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone or Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. It's quick, it's free, and it's easy. Or you can subscribe through iTunes. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Cavallo Hoof Boots and listeners like you. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.